Okay, so I'm going to show you in this video how to do a whip stitch, and this is done along our stocking kits along the top, and it's also done here to attach the scarf, but it's also a really simple alternative to stitching anything together. So all our kits are generally done with a blanket stitch, which is this stitch here, and there's a video on that elsewhere on my channel. But if you don't want to do that, it's a really simple alternative to a blanket stitch. So I'm just going to show you how to do that now. So I'm just going to get my thread, and I'm just going to use one strand for this. Just going to pull off and start the thread by tying it in a knot, as I always do. And I'm going to thread my needle up. And I'm just going to go along the edge of these two pieces of scrap here. So whichever pieces you want to stitch together. So on the stocking, we've done it along the top here. So we've got all our pieces. So that's 3 in total when you count in the antlers as well. So I've got my 2 pieces here, and I'm just going to go along the edge. So I'm going to come from the inside of the top layer at the point where I want my stitch to be. So if you wanted your stitch to be quite long, you would start further in, but I just want little ones. So I'm just going to pull the needle up, and then that's going to be on the inside between the layers, so that won't show. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the outside edge and take the needle back up at the point where I want the next stitch to be. It's just made like a little kind of diagonal stitch, and I'm just going to keep doing that. So all I'm doing is just bringing the needle up from the bottom at the point of each next stitch, just over and through like that. And that's all it is. So it's really simple, just a nice way to stitch around the edges of any pieces you want to sew together, and it's really simple. So like I say, you can do it as an alternative to blanket stitch if you want to, so when stitching your kits together. It's a lot quicker and it is simpler. So again, just going, I've got my thread, and then I'm just going over and through at the next point where I want the stitch to be, like that, and it looks the same on both sides. I'll show it a bit close up. And what I'll do as well is I'll just show you how to do it if you've got a piece kind of sandwiched in there that you need to go through, like the antler here, for example. So I've just, this isn't in the right colour, I'm just using scraps, but I've just cut out an antler to kind of show you how it's done. So that's sandwiched in the middle, like we've done in the stocking kit, and so it's in the middle of the pieces that I'm sewing together. And I'm just going to start doing my whip stitch as I have been, so just bringing the needle up at the point where I want the stitch to be, and then I'm just going to do the same but through that piece as well, so through the antler. And so you kind of, it takes a bit longer when you're going through something because there's kind of 2 steps to it. So you're going up and through, and then back through again where you want the stitch to be, like this. And then, so it's kind of gone through the back like that. And then once you're through, just go over and through again, like that. So let me just show you with another bit. I'm just going to cut off a total scrap just to show you again. So I've just shoved a bit in the middle, but let's pretend that's another antler. So again, I'm just doing my whip stitch over and through, and then I'm going to come up and go through all the layers at the point where I want the next stitch to be again, and then up and back through again, up and through where I want the next stitch to be, up and through where I want the next stitch to be. So just keeping doing these little vertical stitches up and through where I want the next stitch to be, like that, going through all the layers so that it's kind of attached in place. And then again, just doing my whip stitch again over and through. So it's just a nice quick simple stitch to do if you don't want to do a blanket stitch, like that. And that's your whip stitch.